Here's some information. You can earn loyalty points at B-Dubs with Blazin' Rewards. And if you hurry, you can earn these points by eating wings, wraps, burgers, and more. Plus, like a QB's top receiver, B-Dubs has the perfect wing sauce pairing for everyone's palate with 21 signature sauces and seasonings. Start earning points with Blazin' Rewards and start earning today. Only at Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, sports. Please drink responsibly.
I can't do it. We'll do it live. Okay. Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
This is Snowman in the Morning, and it begins now.
That's a spicy meatball!
Need a little excitement?
Excuse me, bitch?
You know what? That makes me mad.
I ask myself, is it worth it? I answer myself, yes, it is worth it.
Did you not get the memo?
On your mark, get set, go. Good morning! Woo! Snowman in the Morning is back and coming to you live from Dayton, Ohio, here at McDonald's this morning. Want to stop by 2166 Edwin Moses Road, get your breakfast on and your lunch, because we're here till 11. Talking all kinds of sports, talking NFL draft, NBA playoffs, a little NHL. Got Trace 9 coming on in 10 minutes. Oh, man, this feels good. This absolutely feels great to be back. We're presented by Cleaver Supplements. Pure supplements for when genetics are just not enough. And as mentioned this morning, we are presented by McDonald's at 2166 Edwin Moses Boulevard here in Dayton, Ohio. We'll be here for the week and then going back home to Chicago. Going home to Chicago, and then going to open a studio in Gary, Indiana, so we could be right in the middle of everything. Good morning, folks. Great weekend of sports. Hope you enjoyed it. I certainly enjoyed it, and got some stuff to take care of. As mentioned, got Trace 9 coming on about 10 minutes. It'll be about 6 minutes from now. And he's going to talk some baseball with me. But let me start with this. I actually, and I have to be honest with you folks, I actually kicked around the idea of moving the show to the afternoons. And if I moved the show to the afternoons, that would bring the curtain down. I really did. I really thought of, well, in essence, ending the show. Now, I know a couple people who have it out for me would say, yeah, told you you'd be a failure. But they don't understand why I kicked around the idea. Here's the why. With me having a second job besides this one, schedule conflicts would happen, and I mean they would happen often. It would cause me to miss a show. It would cause me to miss a game, and the inconsistency absolutely killed me. And I got to tell y'all, I was feeling down about it. I was really, 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 really feeling down about it. I'm going, this can't be happening again. But I had a talk with some friends of mine, and one of my buddies who I had on, Darrell Owens, who's out in Virginia, he, Michael Lyle, and like 10 other guys said, dude, follow your heart. You can't ask us for advice because this is you. This is what you created. So I made them a promise, and I made myself a promise that I would sleep on it. And I wouldn't give an answer, and I wouldn't proceed until I got my answer. And I got to tell you, it took a lot longer than I had anticipated. It took a lot longer than I thought. Now I'm thinking, I'm never going to find what I need to find. I'm never going to get the answer. Well, one night while I was at work, the answer came to me. And instead of bringing this show to a close and then concentrating on the other, which now has a title, I'll tell you that in a moment. And y'all are going to think I'm crazy about this. After listening to a couple of clips from one Stephen A. Smith, you can have your opinion about him, and listen to a few more from a gentleman in Minnesota named Paul Allen, the problem was me. I didn't put in enough work to do this. So I said, you know what? Screw it. If they can do it, I can do it. And I'm going to do it. So my decision is the following. I'm going to do them both. And I'm going to hold another job down while I get the money I need, which implores me to tell you, if you want to sponsor this program, drop an email to snowmaninthemorning@gmail.com. But this is what I love to do. And I'm going to pursue it. And I'm going to go after it, and I'm going to give it my all. My problem was, like I said, inconsistency killed me. That stops today. I got to run around like a madman after I get done here and get some things taken care of for work, but I don't care anymore. I am going to J.D. Byrider. I'm going to put a payment on a vehicle. And I'm going to get myself going. There's a pretty lady named Jackie in Kalamazoo, Michigan, who is listening. Good morning, darling. I'm just going to do what I need to do. I want to do both shows. I want to do my sportscasting. After 22 years of fighting, having another job to make sure bills are paid and struggling and being homeless and things like that, the hell with it. I'm putting everything into this. I'm going for it. I am absolutely diving all the way in, and I'm going for it. I'm absolutely going for it. There is no reason whatsoever why this can't succeed. And if it fails, then it's on me. If it fails, then it's on me. Period. But I can't hold back anymore, and I'm not going to. I am not going to. Anyway, that's how we start the show. And this is how we continue the show. On the McDonald's hotline right now is a buddy of mine who I love talking baseball with. And his Atlanta Braves are, dare I say, making some noise in their division. Trace Nye joins me from the 3 and Out Radio Network. What's going on, brother?
How are you, my friend? Good morning.
I am doing great. How are you?
I'm doing good. Got my, didn't put any gel in my my hair today and relaxed and got my cut-off baseball shirt. I'm a happy man.
Nothing better than baseball, my friend. Nothing better.
Right.
What about What about these New York Mets? They just keep winning.
They do, and they hit a little rough patch here and there, and like one of my hosts on the Sports Mania program on WIZS, he mentions like age is going to catch up to them. They have the Todd Frazier of the world, Adrian Gonzalez, Matt Harvey situation, and maybe Callaway is doing a phenomenal job of what he has been given. Again, they came into the season with 5 full-time starters. Syndergaard, Harvey, Wheeler, Matz, and Thor. And Matt Harvey got pushed to the bullpen. Wheeler is okay. Matz is doing his thing. But Todd Frazier, Adrian Gonzalez, they keep hitting. The lineup, Rosario, the shortstop, looks fantastic for the shortstop position. Jose is 50 years old, but still out there doing his thing. He's taken the back seat to Rosario, which he's perfectly fine with because he's getting another chance to play baseball after his dispute last couple of years. But again, they're doing great. Don't get me wrong, the Mets are doing fantastic right now. But I'm worried about the age and the pitching situation. They've always hit the injury bug, and that's been the last 5 years they've hit the injury bug with the New York Mets. So if they can hold off that, they're doing just fine. They need to go ahead and trade Matt Harvey to another team, get that cancer out of the locker room because he's not happy. The Mets aren't happy. His performance is terrible. Maybe if he goes to another team, then he'll be just fine. So we'll see. But I'm worried about the injury bug like we always done with the New York Mets.
Yeah, that's true, and you said it best. 5 years and counting. Even the year they went to the World Series, they had to deal with an injury. Mm-hmm. Matt Harvey absolutely needs to go. They need to clear him out and get some more talent that would, take his spot. But you mentioned the key thing with the Mets. They just keep hitting. I mean, yesterday Todd Frazier hit a home run in their win over the San Diego Padres. But you gotta think about this. This rough spot that they ran into on this West Coast road trip could come back and bite them later in the year.
I agree. 100% agree. Again, you just don't know. They're sitting at 17 wins right now. Atlanta Braves number 2, tied with number 2 with Philadelphia. And then there's Miami, the bottom feeders, which they're playing great. They've won 3 in a row. They face Atlanta Braves not starting tomorrow for a 3-game series in Miami. So it's going to be interesting to see how this division shapes out. But again, if not to jump ship on the New York Mets here, but how about those Braves?
How about it, man?
As well. It's awesome. It feels like the old time when the Braves won 13 in a row division.
Right.
It feels like our pitching staff is doing now. The starters are doing just fine. The bullpen is where they're sucking it up with they're leading the majors in walks. Not all of them have hurt them, but just think where the Atlanta Braves could be when the Braves the offense gave them either a 5, 6, 7, 8 run lead and then they squander it. Just think where the Braves could be. But again, that's an if, when, what situation, so we're not going to go there. But they're sitting at 16-11. This is the funnest I've had watching the Braves since the Greg Maddux of the world, the Tom Glavine of the world, the John Smoltz of the world, Andrew Jones, Chipper Jones. I mean, you should have heard Chipper Jones talking about Ozzie Albies and talking about Ronald Acuna. I mean, it's just great. And what Brian Snitker did, the general manager, the head coach for the Atlanta Braves yesterday, put Ozzie Albies at number 1, Ronald Acuna, who's batting .430, and looks like the player that we thought he was going to be. Coming in, electrifying, fun, just fun to watch. Then you have Freddie Freeman, then Nick Markakis. There's so much going on in the Facebook groups, all the Braves groups that I follow.
Right.
They're saying, why is Nick Markakis in the 4th hole? I said, but that's what has he done to lose that role? All he does is he's hitting more home runs this year than he's done the last 2 years combined. Okay, he already has 3. It's not a big jump. He only has 3 RBI or 3 home runs. He's sitting at 18 plus RBIs. So he's doing great. He's getting on base when he needs to. He's taking the walk when he needs to. Dansby Swanson is doing great. But what they did with Ozzie Albies, Ronald Acuna, and then Ender Inciarte at the number 9 hole, have the pitcher at the number 8, was by far a genius move because you have 3 speed guys back to back to back, and it was Ender Inciarte went 3 for 4, triple, a single, and a double yesterday. All he needed was a home run for the cycle. So it looks like he needs to stand right there. He was batting a minimal 191 before he got moved. So he burst it out yesterday. He was relaxed. He was having fun, and he was just putting the ball in play, and that's what it's all about.
Let's stay in the National League and take a look at who's up top the Central Division. The Pittsburgh Pirates at 17-11. Nick Kingham had an awesome debut yesterday, retired the first 20 batters he faced. They've won 5 in a row. They go to Washington next, a team that's struggling, and we'll talk about them in a moment. But what about these Pittsburgh Pirates?
You're exactly. Kingdom did I was obviously watching the Braves game yesterday, and our broadcasters Chip and Joe were talking about how you can only go down from what he did. So they at the time they didn't know that the hitter or the Jong, the second baseman for St. Louis, that he already singled to release the no hitter. But he had a perfect game going into the seventh. I mean, what can you say from a rookie coming in, the first time ever being on the mound in a major league game, and you go out and just lights out? I mean, that's exactly what the front office and the head coach wanted to see from Kingdom. And you get that from your minor league system, but your major league talent is just playing great. Again, they're hitting the ball. They're pitching great. I mean, every once in a while I get an update on my phone how the pitchers of Pittsburgh Pirates have a no-hitter going into the 7th or 8th.
Right.
So it's unbelievable. They're playing great. Again, I believe they're 15-9, 16-9, somewhere in that range. So I don't have the numbers in front of me, but they're playing great. And their nemesis in St. Louis is right there with them too. So that's going to be a fun division for not only this year but years to come.
Let's take a look at the top 4 teams in the Central Division. Pittsburgh, the Cubs, St. Louis, Milwaukee, separated by a game and a half. 4 teams separated by a game and a half. This is anybody's division now, and it could very well be this way come September.
Absolutely. And the Cubs and Milwaukee have had 2 big injuries. Chris Bryant got hit in the head. It didn't look like it was a serious injury, but again, that can freak a batter out, getting hit on the brim of your helmet.
Right.
That can freak a batter out. Then Milwaukee lost Eric Thames to a thumb surgery, so he's going to be out for a numerous amount of time. So it's this next couple weeks, I would say the next 10 weeks of baseball, you're going to see 1 team out of this division, possibly 2, kind of rise in the ranks of Major League Baseball, especially in this division. But it's going to be, my opinion, the Pittsburgh Pirates. They have the offense, they have the pitching to contend in this division, which we've seen them in the past. Only they're just really good enough to get to the wild card. But this year they brought in hitters. They brought in guys that don't strike out every time. Marte, Polanco, Corey Dickerson are one of the best tandems in the outfield of any major league team. Now, once the Atlanta Braves get Christian Patch from the minor league system up into the outfield for the Atlanta Braves, I will go down battling for those 3 guys. But those 3 are just phenomenal. Again, we don't know what Chicago. You have Jason Hayward, who you pay $200 million, and he's batting a miserable 211, 215 in that range. I mean, not worth the money. He's a great defender in the outfield, but not a great hitter, and that's why the Atlanta Braves was not going to pay him that kind of money.
And that's a great move.
And so,
that's a great move.
I mean, just think what Kansas City Royals would have been if they would have signed Ronald Acuna out of the International League.
Right.
So the Atlanta Braves offered him $100,000 to sign with Kansas City. He signed with the Atlanta Braves, and that's the one thing I can take away from Frank Wynn's time here in Atlanta system, that he signed some really good players. Now everybody knows what happened to later on this past year with John Capella, lifetime ban, but I mean, they still piled pitching depth and offensive depth. I mean, Ronald Acuna, Christian Path, Austin. I mean, still, it's going to be great. I know looks like I'm Homer with him in the Braves. Back to the division. Let me get off my tangent here. The NL Central with Pittsburgh and St. Louis are going to be right there. I don't think the Chicago Cubs, the pitching situation, in my opinion, again, they've been great for years, but they lost a number 1 guy in Jake Arrieta, who's
Drinks want to scare you. Some even want to bully you around. And the others, they're just blowing smoke. Packed with vitamins B3, B5, B6, and B12, the new HiQ Energy Drink comes available in 4 exciting flavors. Skyberry Fusion, Apple, Coconut Fruit Punch, and left lime. Natural caffeine, no preservatives, no crash, no bull. High Q energy drink. Wings are for birds.
This is the King of Connecticut, Matt Granahan. And there's a new sheriff in town and a new king of morning talk. So move over, Howard Stern, Brian Snow, the Snowman, Snowman in the morning. Catch the show every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern.
Hey fans, spring is here and Cleaver Supplements invites you to spring into action to get in the best shape of your life. Our supplements and products will help you do just that. You had a good winter season, and now it's time to show off and keep that great shape, great attitude, and work on getting even better for your life. Our Fat Burner, Super Swole Serum, and other products will keep you on track to a healthier and happier you. Do it for your family, do it for your friends, but most of all, do it for you. For more information, visit us online at cleaversupplements.com. Cleaver Supplements, pure supplements for when genetics are just not enough.
It may not require a textbook, but it's filled with valuable lessons. It may not take place in a classroom, but it's an ideal environment for learning. It may not involve a diploma, but it can help prepare young people in Illinois for life. It's high school sports. High school sports can play a critical role in a student's overall education. In fact, studies show that students that participate in high school sports are more likely to enjoy greater levels of achievement in their academic lives. If you think high school sports are only about competition, think again. Better yet, think about attending a high school sporting event in your community. You'll be amazed by what you see. High school sports, a winning part of a complete education. This message presented by the Illinois High School Association and the Illinois Athletic Directors Association.
This is Snowman in the Morning, where true sports talk lives.
Next!
Excuse me, bitch?
Are you kidding me?
What?
Hey. Sorry about that. Had a little technical hiccup there, but we're still on. And I want to thank Trey Snide for calling in, and unfortunately we kind of lost the call, so we're going to do a little improvising here. We're going to get through our show. Chris Dietz, I think I'm going to have him join me at the bottom of this hour. Actually, no, we're going to keep it the same. We're going to keep Chris Dietz at the top of the next hour. What I'm going to do after this, because I had planned to have Trey on longer than what happened, but that's okay. That's okay. A lot of you folks heard a conversation that I had with one Darrell Owens, who is a very dear friend of mine. So you're going to hear that conversation next. Just give me a few minutes to put some other pieces in place, and we're going to do the damn thing. Okay. Now, I really try to hit all my basketball in one day or on the same day, but I got to tell you, I'm laughing my ass off after Russell Westbrook and the Oklahoma City Thunder got blasted and sent packing after the first round. Why am I laughing, you ask? Because no, I can't say everybody. And I'm going to pick on a friend of mine by the name of Trey Larkins, who I'm going to have on the show here soon. Did y'all really expect the Oklahoma City Thunder to get that far in the playoffs? Huh? Y'all really expected that? Ha! Wrong you are. Very, very wrong. And you shouldn't expect that again. You should not expect, and I know I'm getting way, way ahead of myself, but I don't care. I've got to say this as honestly as I can, as we're live on location here this morning. You can't expect Russell Westbrook and the Oklahoma City Thunder to compete for a championship ever again. Because Carmelo Anthony's going to be gone. Frickin' Paul George is going to Los Angeles. One man's opinion. And again, Russell Westbrook's going to be by himself. And I go back to the year where Kevin Durant suffered his injury. And Russell Westbrook had to carry the team. Didn't carry him far. Think of all who Westbrook, or Westbrick, as I heard, ran out of town. Do you realize the Oklahoma City Thunder could have been one hell of a dynasty even before the Golden State Warriors took their place? Think of who they had. Russell Westbrook. They had Serge Ibaka. They had Kevin Durant. And oh, by the way, they had a fellow named James Harden, who was the first to leave. Now, Harden's kicking ass in Houston, but I still don't trust him to lead his team to a championship. I'll talk about that tomorrow. But look at how one player with a me-first attitude single-handedly blew up the franchise. That shouldn't be in Oklahoma City anyway. That should be in Seattle. That's a rant for another time. But it's a travesty that Oklahoma City continues to have Russell Westbrook lead their team. You can put up all the triple-doubles you want. You can average a triple-double for consecutive years, which I think are false triple-doubles in the first place. You can have all of that. But since 2012, let's put the question out there and let's ask it honestly. What has Russell Westbrook done to get Oklahoma City close to a championship? Besides 2012, when they got to the finals after an upset of San Antonio, they've had one other shot to win a championship. One. And that was 2016. And what happened in 2016, you may ask? Well, let me tell you. They blew it. A 3-1 lead. And they lost in 7 games to, oddly enough, the Golden State Warriors. Now, granted, the Warriors did the same thing in the finals, but y'all know my thoughts about that, and I'll echo them later. But seriously, y'all really going to put your faith and your trust, especially those in Oklahoma City, those basketball fans that just look at stats and not look at what truly constitutes a great player? See, I called this before the playoffs began that Russell Westbrook would not get out of the first round, and one of the reasons that I cited, which turned out to be true, he runs out of gas. He's attacking the basket so much that by the time the fourth quarter of Game 6 hits, or Game 5 last year against Houston, he doesn't have the energy anymore. He's such in constant attack mode. And if you think about it, the same thing used to happen to Jordan. But then Michael got smart. He knew how to pace himself. He knew how to conserve his energy. He knew what to do when the time counted. He absolutely knew what to do when the time counted. And unfortunately for Russell Westbrook, he has not learned this lesson. He has not learned the lesson of how to pace himself. I mean, you don't have to go 100 miles an hour from minute 1. Because if you do that, by the time minute 46, 47, and 48 show up, you're so doggone tired and your legs are so heavy, you can't get to the basket. Like you need to. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I go there? Let me say that again. You're going so hard from minute 1 that by the time minute 46, 47, and 48 show up, you can't get to the rim when your team needs you to and when you're supposed to. Period. And when you're supposed to have help, where is it? Now let's go back to Game 6. Paul George expected a foul to be called when he had the game in his hands with a chance to tie. He does a pump fake, leans into the defender, expects a whistle to be blown. No whistle is blown, and in my opinion, correct call. Foul should not be called in that moment because Paul George was trying to initiate the contact. He was trying to initiate the contact. Because there was no business for Oklahoma City. And you know where? I'll tell you where Oklahoma City lost this game. Or lost this series, I beg your pardon. They let Utah beat them in their house in Game 2. And then they got trounced twice in Salt Lake City. Just think, if Oklahoma City steals one of those two, just one, they steal either games 3 or 4 in that series, whole different conversation. Whole different conversation. And why is it a whole different conversation? Well, it's pretty simple. Because Westbrook would have the energy to get them through. But he didn't. And he lost his poise. He lost his poise. Oklahoma City goes how Westbrook goes. And frankly, they lost a lot of their nerve. A lot of their nerve. After they got down 3-1 in that series. Now, granted, they had a miraculous comeback in Game 5, which should have been a closeout game for Utah, because they had them down 25 in Oklahoma City. Should have been done then. But, as it turns out, it wasn't. But unless they actually not only surround Russell Westbrook with the help that's needed, but until they actually get a coach in there that will tell Westbrook, sit your ass down and listen, and unless they get a coach in there, which obviously now is not Billy Donovan because Billy Donovan couldn't do it, unless they get a coach in Oklahoma City that will tell Russell Westbrook, sit your ass down and learn this system or you're out of here, Oklahoma City is going to keep suffering the same fate over and over and over and over. Why, you ask? A me-first player leading that team right into mediocrity. Period. And trust me, he's not the only one. He's not the only one I'm going to talk about with this. I got a lot more up the sleeve. A lot. A classic conversation after this.
Hey fans, spring is here and Cleaver Supplements invites you to spring into action to get in the best shape of your life. Our supplements and products will help you do just that. You had a good winter season, and now it's time to show off and keep that great shape, great attitude, and work on getting even better for your life. Our Fat Burner, Super Swole Serum, and other products will keep you on track to a healthier and happier you. Do it for your family, do it for your friends, but most of all, do it for you. For more information, visit us online at cleaversupplements.com. Cleaver Supplements, pure supplements for when genetics are just not enough.
Has your fantasy season ever come to a complete halt due to your top picks going down? Now there is a solution for that. RotoSurance is your go-to fantasy sports insurance provider. Get 100% of your money back if your top players go down. Head over to www.rotosurance.com and use the promo code 3andOutRadio to get 20% off your plan today. Again, www.rotosurance.com. Promo code 3andOutRadio.
There's just one place where students are students first, and athletics are played with purpose and perspective. That place is your local high school. High school sports offer more than the joy of competition. Studies show that student athletes in Illinois are also likely to enjoy greater levels of achievement in other areas of their lives, including academics. High school sports, a winning part of a complete education. This message presented by the Illinois High School Association and the Illinois Athletic Directors Association.
You're probably wondering why I'm playing this particular song to kick off the second part of the show. Oh, this is... It's the Tuesday Snowman in the Morning .com. And I tell you what, man, this gentleman that I have on the hotline with me right now has the perfect name for his sports network. It's called the Legacy Maker Sports Network. And when this young brother reached out to me for some play-by-play advice, I reached back out to him and said, bring it on. Let me see what I can do. And he joins me right now. Let's just get into it. The man that you're going to hear is Darrell Owens, and he joins me right now live on the hotline. Good morning, my friend.
Hey, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. It's great to talk to you.
Hey, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm excited, brother.
Let's get into this. How did you come up with the Legacy Maker Sports Network?
Well, it started for me probably about back in November of 2016. It was something that I decided I needed to do because when I was a kid, everybody has goals when you're a kid, and you say, this is what I want to do when I grow up. And, of course, most of the time, most people don't get to live that dream or, get to do that. And as a kid, I wanted to be in sports. I wanted to be in sports doing this, doing that. Well, it didn't matter whatever it took. I woke up in the mornings, I watched ESPN till I could go, got off from school and watching ESPN. I wake up in the morning watching SportsCenter for 6 hours.
Just come on, who didn't? Who
didn't? Sports coverage as I possibly could.
Who didn't? When SportsCenter was
exactly
the hip thing back in the day, who didn't watch it for 6 hours?
Yeah, and obviously it's not the same, unfortunately, the way it used to be, but I watched it for hours, and my mom used to tell me, why do you watch this? Oh, this is all you watch? Oh, I love sports, Mom. It's what I love. And so as a kid, I knew, looking at guys like Stuart Scott, I wanted to be into that, watching my heroes like, the play-by-play heroes like Pat Summerall.
Yes.
Gary Thorne from does play-by-play for the Baltimore Orioles.
Right.
In hockey with Bill Clement. Oh, just, those are my guys, and so that was a part of why I wanted to do it. I was working in my job full time, and for those who don't know, I worked for Walmart, and I used to do commercials for Walmart back in 2010 up until about 2014, doing training videos and safety videos as Mr. Rollback for Walmart.
Right.
And, that situation, doing all of that got me into the entertainment side of things because, I didn't get a chance to go to college to do what I'm trying to do now. And I had got accepted to VCU University, had that opportunity, changed my mind, and was afraid to have to pay that money back.
Right.
So I didn't end up going because of that. But then eventually, everything, between doing the commercials and stuff, and I kept saying to myself, do I really want to keep doing this, and not do what I really love? And I was an assistant manager at Walmart, decided, I'm taking a step back because if I wanted to do what I've always wanted to do, I'm going to have to take a step back to do it. And from that point on, back in November 2016, started off with a podcast with my partner in crime, Jeremiah Quimby, and it has grown into what we got going on today.
And I can't say enough how proud I am of you to have that network going. And like I said, when you reached out to me about some play-by-play advice, and people who reach out to me, they know I'm more than happy to give it. I've been at it 22 years. And I, too, have gotten, well, let me just put it out there plainly. Anyone who's listened to this show for almost 5 years know I talk about this often. I've gotten a lot of clapback, as the common term is, about why I'm doing this and not holding a quote-unquote regular job, which I am now. But this is to build, and that's in place just to, as you often say to me, build the legacy. And you and I share a hashtag, legacy built over legacy bought. I'm not trying to buy this. I'm trying to build this thing.
Exactly. And I think what a lot of, it's funny now, a lot of people don't think I still work at Walmart. I still work there in the mornings, and I had set everything up to where I work 7 to 4 so I can take care of most of my business in the evening, spend more time with my family, which was a very critical part of why I did it as well.
Right.
But in those two things, a lot of people don't. I've done so much sporting events between last August when we started the network. People was like, I didn't know you still worked here. So, but people don't understand. Like, and I haven't. And it used to be the conversation when I was doing commercials. They used to say the same thing. Why are you still here? I thought you was in Hollywood. Now all I hear is, why are you still here? I thought you had started your sports network. Well, I did start my sports network. But like you said, before our segment, sponsors. It takes a lot to get to that point. But sometimes, yes, sponsors and getting money, that's the ultimate dream. But when you have a passion for something and you love it, it doesn't matter. Like I tell people all the time, yes, I want to make money from this one day. I want to be a person that I can live off of this and enjoy the rest of my life living it that way. But if I never make money from this, I would be okay. I really would. I know that sounds crazy. Some people probably say, oh, that's crazy. But I really love it that much that I would be okay. Now, I want to make money from it.
Right.
But yeah, I would definitely be okay because that's how much I love sports. That's how much it's my passion. It brings a smile to my face. It makes me happy. I do so much more now than what I would have done years ago doing what I'm doing now to make a dream happen. So I'm probably at one of my happiest points, even though at times, I may not be doing exactly how I want to be doing it, but I'm super happy.
Well, you're going to hear the rest of that conversation on our podcast. I've just been told that my second guest will be ready. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a break, and in 120 seconds, you'll hear Chris Dietz. Back in a flash.
Hey fans, spring is here and Cleaver Supplements invites you to spring into action to get in the best shape of your life. Our supplements and products will help you do just that. You had a good winter season, and now it's time to show off and keep that great shape, great attitude, and work on getting even better for your life. Our Fat Burner, Super Swole Serum, and other products will keep you on track to a healthier and happier you. Do it for your family, do it for your friends, but most of all, do it for you. For more information, visit us online at cleaversupplements.com. Cleaver Supplements, pure supplements for when genetics are just not enough.
There's just one place where students are students first, and athletics are played with purpose and perspective. There's just one place where a team is more than a group of individual agendas. It's a catalyst for demonstrating the potential of the collaborative spirit. There's just one place where players, coaches, and fans experience the exhilaration that happens when an entire community rallies behind the school team. That place is your local high school. High school sports offer more than the joy of competition. Studies show that student athletes are more likely to enjoy greater levels of achievement in other areas of their lives, including academics. In addition, high school sports help young people in Illinois develop the discipline and confidence they need to be leaders in life, even as they unite communities like nothing else. High school sports, a winning part of a complete education. This message presented by the Illinois High School Association and the Illinois Athletic Directors Association.
I love this theme song. Well, down the stretch we come here on Snowman in the Morning on this Monday. As mentioned, we had some technical difficulties, so I'm going to get my second guest on the line here in 120 seconds. But let me thank Trey Snide for coming on. Darrell Owens, thank you as well. And now I'm ready to talk some NFL draft, given what the hell has happened over the course of the weekend. And Chris Dietz will join me here right about now. And I think I have him on the hotline. What up, Dietz?
Hey, how's it going, man?
Going good. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. Trying to recover from a weekend of draft coverage.
Did it wear you out like it wore those 170,000 people out in Dallas?
I loved every minute of it. I thought it was great. And being a Dallas fan, you know, and being an internet guy, I didn't mind getting trolled by every presenter that was there from rounds 2 to 7. So,
does that include David Akers?
Oh yeah, and again, being a Dallas Cowboys fan, I don't care. I mean, I loved it. I thought it was great.
That's great.
And I think it's one of the great things about bringing the draft to other places.
Yeah. Yeah.
When it was just in New York City, you didn't get a lot of that. You didn't get a lot of that back and forth.
You really didn't.
Now you have every guy going up there. Oh, San Francisco, the first 5-time champion. Then you get Pittsburgh going up there, the only 6-time champion.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got David Akers stole the show, but I mean, I thought it was great. I love those presentations. It was just it was a great thing. It's a great thing that they've done.
Yeah, it is.
Moving.
I love it.
And having it at different places.
I absolutely love it. Next year, I plan to go to the NFL draft and cover it live, and I hope to have some people with me. All right, let's get down to business, shall we?
Let's do it.
Let's hand out some grades, and you know where I'm starting. Grade the Cleveland Browns draft, if you would.
First, before we do the grades, let me quantify the grade first.
Okay.
Because I think that's the most important. That's the most important thing when looking at some of these grades.
Right.
You have to understand what the grader is looking at, and what I grade upon is I grade upon whether you got players in rounds 1 through 3 that are going to help your team right away.
Right.
That's the first thing I look at, and then I look at whether in the next rounds you got complementary players.
Right.
That have a shot at making the roster and have a shot at being players not just next year, but will still be on the roster 3 years from now.
Good point.
So that's my grading system. That's kind of how I look at the draft, and then I go by the player that you selected. So when I look at the Cleveland Browns, I'm not as shocked as everybody else was that they took Baker Mayfield, because if you listen to my show, the Fifth Down Sports, if you listen to Fifth Down Sports when we did our mock draft, I had the Browns taking Baker Mayfield. I just had them taking him at 4 and not 1. but I had them taking Baker Mayfield, so I wasn't shocked at the Baker Mayfield pick.
Right.
I kind of thought he was going to go there, but the rest of their draft, I really like their draft. I really like their second-round picks. The only question I have is taking Denzel Ward over Bradley Chubb, but then when you look at the Cleveland Browns roster, you understand they needed help on the back end. They got the best secondary guy, so I can't really knock them that much. I give them a B+, A- grade.
Okay, I can dig that
for what they did.
I can dig that. Now, which team, in your opinion, absolutely stole the show in their draft?
Absolutely stole the show, as in did the best?
Yes.
I really like what the Denver Broncos did. I really like the Denver Broncos draft. I think one that they got Bradley Chubb fell right in their lap.
Right.
They got Cortland Sutton in round 2, which I thought was the best second round pick. They got the tall receiver from SMU. Then they go out, they get Royce Freeman in round 3, a guy who can play right away. And then the thing that stole the show for me is in round 4 they get Josie Jewell,
right?
Who I thought was a second round pick. They get him in the 4th round, and then later in the 5th round they get Troy Fumagalli, the tight end from Wisconsin. So they got a bunch of guys who can help right away. So I think the Broncos did the best in my opinion of what they did of what they actually drafted.
So how's Bradley Chubb going to help them immediately?
Because now you've got him on one end and you've got Von Miller on the other end, and the guy I compared Bradley Chubb to was Von Miller. So going in, I said, this guy's going to be a Von Miller type. Now you've got both those guys attacking the edge, and we already know they did lose Aqib Talib, but they still have a very good secondary.
Right.
So that makes their secondary even better because now you got 2 guys rushing the passer.
So who are some other teams that you think did well in their draft? Let me be specific, and let me just go ahead and throw my fandom out there. How do you think the 49ers did?
The 49ers, I questioned their first pick with McGlinchey, the tight end, the tackle from Notre Dame. I don't question the pick. I just question where they made it and the fact that there was a trade right behind them.
Right.
I thought maybe if there wasn't a trade there, I could see Mike McGlinchey, but I thought you could trade down and get Mike McGlinchey at a later date because I didn't think there were many people that were going to go after a tackle at that spot. So, but then when you look at who the trade was, it was Arizona. Maybe Arizona's not going to trade within their division. So that kind of knocked them down a little bit. And then I question taking Dante Pettis in the 2nd round.
Really?
So those 2 picks I have question marks on. Well, Dante Pettis, he's not a receiver. He's a return guy. That's what you're getting him for. That's basically what you got. You got him for punt returning. So to take him in the 2nd round, I thought was a little high. So I would give them a B based on what they did.
Dig it.
Because again, I thought you could get McGlinchey a little bit lower, but the way the draft fell out, if they were targeting a lineman, he was the best lineman on the board. So you can't really say, sometimes you can say, they should have taken this guy. But if they were looking at a position, they took the best player at the position they were drafting for.
All right. What about your Cowboys? How do you think they did?
Oh, the Cowboys. This has been a weekend-long debate going on between Cowboys fans and non-Cowboys fans. Here's the deal. I gave them a B+ grade.
Okay.
And I like what they did. Here's the thing that's going to happen with the Cowboys, and I haven't seen any of the media yet today. I'm sure I'm gonna get hit with a lot of it.
Oh
today.
yeah. Oh yeah.
But I'm sure here's the deal. If you're a Cowboys fan who cares about the roster, the Cowboys did a great job in replenishing their roster.
Right.
If you're a Cowboys fan who just wants the flash and flair, then you're really upset right now because you wanted to get the wide receiver. And the Cowboys told you before the draft there's no receiver in this draft to replace Dez Bryant.
Right.
So that you knew going in that they weren't going to go wide receiver early. They were going to address that later. And the fact that they got, I thought they would go with a true middle linebacker. They ended up going with the best linebacker on the board who can play both outside and inside, so that now they can play this Vander Esch. They can play him outside while Sean Lee is healthy and still on the roster. And if something does happen to Sean Lee, they can kick him in. They can kick Vander Esch inside and move on that way. So I like the versatility of that pick. So I like the first-round pick. A lot of people were upset about it because they didn't get Calvin Ridley, the wide receiver from Alabama. But then you look at the second and third rounds of what the Cowboys did. The Eagles kind of killed us by trading up and taking Dallas Goedert. Yes. I really thought we were going to get Dallas Goedert in the second round to replace Witten. But when you look at what they did, they took Connor Williams. Connor Williams, he played tackle at Texas. They might kick him inside the guard. But what I think they're going to do is take Connor Williams, try him out at tackle, and try to move La'el Collins back inside where he's better.
Really?
And that makes their whole line better. So I think that's the plan. And if Connor Williams doesn't work at tackle, they can always swap him out. Move Williams to guard, move Collins back to tackle, and they're still getting a quality player for their offensive line.
Right.
And then you get Michael Gallup in the third round, a wide receiver from Colorado State. This is a guy I loved him from his first game last year. First game I saw him, I said, this guy, he gets open. He's just a guy who separates from coverage.
Right.
He's not the fastest guy. He's not a burner down the field, but he knows how to run routes. He knows how to get away from coverage. That's what the Cowboys need. They need a guy who can do that. And if you watch his tape of the Alabama game, you'll see he was the only guy that was dominating the Alabama defense from Colorado State.
True.
And that's an important – so I thought they did a good job in getting their wide receiver at a valuable spot rather than taking – if they had taken Calvin Ridley early, that hurts the rest of their draft. So I give them a B+. I've seen a few grades from different places that have given them an A to a B-. That's the range that they've gone. And I've had people why did we take a linebacker? Well, if you know the roster, they needed a linebacker. I had them taking a linebacker. I was not shocked. I was shocked at the linebacker they took. But then the more research you do on the guy, you realize he can play both inside and out, and he fits the Cowboys' defense. So I like what they did, and I give them a B+. I've seen them as high as an A. So I'm pretty happy with what the Cowboys did.
Chris Dietz joining us here, talking NFL draft and the madness of the weekend. All right, got to go there. What do you think of the Eagles trading up and swiping who was my ultra-high pick in Dallas Goedert?
I thought it was a big pick. I love what the Eagles did. You got to first, when you mention the Eagles, you first got to say, trading out of the first round was a great move by them. They didn't have anybody that of need right there, so they're able to trade out, acquire more picks, more assets, and then they were able to go up and get a guy, and not only get a guy who can help them now, but they got a guy that, being a Cowboys fan, they got a guy that hurt the Cowboys right in front of the Cowboys. So I really like the Dallas Goedert pick. I like what they did overall. Just off the top of my head and not going through the entire Eagles draft, I would give them a B+, A- grade, just based on that Dallas Goedert pick and moving out of the first round, because they helped themselves out a lot more than if they had just taken somebody just to fill a role.
All right.
So even though they were sweet, I would give them a B+, A-.
So who do you think stunk it up in the draft?
That is the interesting part of this draft. This draft wasn't there wasn't many ways you could stink up this draft. There were too many quality players for you to really stink it up. For you to really take the only guys who I could say like teams I say that I think that hurt themselves were teams that gave up a lot, that gave up picks, and teams like the Jets that didn't get many assets through this draft. I think there were a lot of assets that people got even into the third rounds, and teams that didn't have second and third round picks, I think really hurt themselves for the future. But then you look at what the Jets did, and they got the best quarterback in the draft.
And Sam Darnold.
You can't really fault them for that. But as far as teams that drafted, I would say Seattle. I kind of wonder what Seattle's doing. I didn't like their first round pick. I didn't like Rashad Penny in the first round. I think they reached for him. He's not really a banger when you talk about running.
Mm-hmm.
And he's kind of more of I think they got him more for his return skills, which in the first round, that's kind of not a guy you really want to get with your first round pick. And then later in the draft, we'll see what Shaquem Griffin is. But I think that was more of a legacy pick.
Right.
And they kind of, because he could get the headlines that way, and they had his brother on the team, so it was like a big thing. But as far as on the field, we'll have to see what Shaquem Griffin can do. But on the field, I don't see him making that much of an impact. So I kind of question Seattle. The other team, another team I didn't understand. Another team I think that lost was the New Orleans Saints.
I'll agree with that.
By giving up a first rounder next year to get what I call the second rate pass rusher, and Marcus Davenport is an unknown quantity. Yeah, he dominated at San Antonio, but we don't really know what he is. So to give up a first round pick to go up and get a guy that we still don't know what he really is, I question that. But after what the Saints did last year and hitting both rookies of the year, I'm going to question what they did this year, but I'm going to hold off on it because they have a track record of hitting it big.
This is true. What about and we'll close with this, what about the Pittsburgh Steelers snatching Mason Rudolph?
Where they got Mason Rudolph, it was part. I mean, you couldn't ask for anything better. you had a second-round talent go pretty much middle of the third round. I can't fault them for that. I think I do like that they got Mason Rudolph though, because I think he fits kind of like Ben Roethlisberger mold. Big arm. The question is, how is he going to fare against real defenses? Because we all know he played in the Big 12,
right,
where defense is optional. NFL defense is not optional, so we'll have to see how he handles real defense. But I didn't mind him in the third round. I thought it was a good value pick for Pittsburgh.
So do you think they got Roethlisberger's successor?
In the third round, I don't see that as getting a successor. I think what they've got is a project, and when you take somebody in the third round, you're not taking them to be the heir apparent. You're taking them as, all right, if something happens to Roethlisberger, if something happens and is that this guy has talent, and if we can groom him along, he might be able to take the reins. And that's what you want to get. That's what you're looking at in the third round. I don't look at Mason Rudolph as, right now, you'd be like, if Ben Roethlisberger were to have a catastrophic injury, you'd be like, all right, let's go with Mason Rudolph for the whole season. That I don't think is their plan. I think their plan is, let's groom Mason Rudolph and see if he's ready when Ben Roethlisberger decides to step down. And Mason Rudolph has the talent. He has the arm. It's going to be a question of how quick does he adapt to the NFL lifestyle. And that's what you're hoping for out of a third-round pick. You're not hoping that guy is in charge of your organization right away. You're hoping you can groom him into that. And Mason Rudolph is groomable, and hopefully that's how we go. And he's also going with his buddy James Washington, so I like that connection. I like that they have that to work with. So I think the Steelers are on the right track there.
Chris Steve's joining me on this Monday. He usually joins me on Wednesday, and beginning next week he will. You'll hear a replay of this on Wednesday. Chris, thank you very much. Appreciate the time, my friend.
All right. Thank you, Snowman.
Remember, if you want to sponsor this program, drop an email to snowmaninthemorning@gmail.com. We're out of here. See you tomorrow. Snowman out.